Everyone, welcome back to Drop Frames. We've cooled off. We're not as heated anymore. But I'm about to get real pissed off because we're talking about For Honor. We're streaming under the #1 community on Twitch. For Honor sucks. Let's talk about it, Fairlight. By the way, I'm doing a sponsored stream right after the game or right after Drop Frames for Honor if you want to check that out.
Me too, actually.
Really, we should play.
Actually.
We should play because Fairlight needs to teach me the game because somehow that's going to make me enjoy it.
I was going to suggest.
Look,
I was going to suggest. It might just be the learning curve, but I understand that the game puts off a lot of people on their first attempt, and I believe it was your own statement at PAX South where you said it was a classic case of mad 'cause bad. But I mean, there's nothing else like it.
I don't say mad 'cause bad. I don't.
No, you didn't. I don't know. If
I
you
think
used
I
those
said
exact
maybe
terms.
so. I think I just agreed. We'll just say that I agreed with what you were saying.
Maybe I said it and you agreed with it.
Maybe so. Let's go with that.
But the point is, when you are winning, the game is significantly more fun. So it might, and because it's a game that has no other combat engine that is even remotely similar, and some people make kind of a Dark Souls comparison, sort of, with the 3D movement and the lock-on camera, but Dark Souls doesn't have like the timing or the directional input that For Honor has. So obviously, like, no one's going into it experienced.
Sure.
And different people will adapt to it at different rates.
Well, I mean, where should we start with it? Because I think the three of you, is it safe to say the three of you like the game?
Oh, hell yeah. I don't see myself playing anything else for the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
JP, listen.
Sure.
I completely understand where your head's at.
Mm-hmm.
Because I started this game and I started off like, oh, this is fun. And then it went to, fuck this. There's too many cheap ass moves. I can't fucking do this. It's terrible. And I even said this on my stream. I said, if they don't fucking do something about that goddamn bleed, I am going to fucking quit this game. I'm going to
quit. Got nerfed hard.
Now the bleed got nerfed hard. However, towards the end of the 4 days that I was playing it, it got a little bit more manageable. And the reason why is because I did one-on-ones with a streamer buddy of mine, Eddie Monster.
Right. And
he was like, "What character do you like? All right, let's do 1v1s and let's figure this shit out." And I spent 2 hours doing 1v1s with him, going like, "Okay, we do this, and then this does this, and this is how you defend against this, and this is how you parry, this is how you block, this is what you do when they're on the ground, and yada yada yada." And it made the game so much more fun.
Zeke,
it
to
is
expand
not
on that,
user-friendly right away.
To expand on that, I think that's my biggest downside to how I approach the game. I immediately jumped into 4v4. 4v4 is the worst mode in the game and should not be what people jump into in this game. You should learn how to play in 1v1 or 2v2. 4v4 is not a good way because there is so much fucking shit on your screen at once that is literally fucking confetti as you're trying to understand what is happening at once. So I think I think if I would have jumped into 1v1 and experienced that a little bit longer, and like you said, spent an hour or two learning something, I probably would have had a lot more fun. But it was not fun playing 4v4 and just getting demolished by anything that I came up against. And then falling off or pushing someone off, being like, hey, I got a kill. That was kind of cool. But apart from that, I had I should have been in the stream earlier, but it was like 7 hours of just beating my head against a wall and learning absolutely nothing because there's very little sense of feedback in 4v4 in terms of how you're doing or what you're doing wrong.
Absolutely.
Let me ask you this: Did you just jump into Overwatch and immediately was like, I know what's going on. Let me do this, or did you have like a team that was kind of like, okay, this works for this character, and when this character does this, and the synergies and shit like that?
I just jumped in.
A team that was doing that.
I just jumped into the game, but FPS is my forte.
Though.
And it's also different.
Actually, JP, what you did was you played with streamers nonstop for weeks, and y'all talked to each other and taught each other how to play the game. You didn't jump in solo. You played with other people pretty much from the get-go.
I'm glad this argument comes up because here's the #1 reason why it's more fun failing in Overwatch than it is in fucking For Honor. Because you can press Q and do something fucking cool. In this game, you just get obliterated every fucking time.
See, if you were good, though, you could do something cool, too.
I don't know if you want to go to Twitch chat, because I'll kick you off the show if you want to, because that's what you sound like right now. And I'll gladly kick you off before episode 100. But
it's
at least give me 7 more episodes.
Believe it or not, Believe it or not, the devs actually said something to me in person when I was at the celebrity live stream thing yesterday, regarding pressing Q and doing something cool. They literally stated to me that was essentially the same function of the being able to push people off cliffs. They said that way even newer players will once in a while be able to grab a veteran, throw them off, and feel cool for a second. I don't want to hear about Zeke, you shut your face.
No, that's me though. Like I spent a lot of time just getting my ass kicked until I was like in the exact right position, just go, whoop. Like I had like a quarter of one bar left, and I would be able to win the fight because I just had to bide my time until I got them in the right position.
I gotta be honest though, the cool looking stuff in For Honor is generally the stuff that will absolutely destroy new people, but experienced people will be able to rip right through. Like the character that I play generally is Nobushi, and if you're playing with somebody, the spear chick right here, she's awesome. And if you're playing someone who doesn't know what they're doing, you can do an endless combo where you just stab, kick to throw them off guard, stab, kick to throw them off guard. And you can do that all the way to them being full health to none. Like easily. If they don't know how to counter that, it's just it's literally button, they're dead. So, and almost every class has something like that, where if you do the right combo at the right time, if the other person doesn't know how to stop it, you will kill them. In fact, there's entire classes that are based around throwing people off ledges pretty much and controlling where they are on the battlefield. And that's the point of the class, which Fairlight, I'm sure.
Yeah, on that note, let's just go ahead and back up for a second.
I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I need to amplify my hearing.
On that note, certain people win competitions based on this cheesiness. Now, like I feel like the game is fairly well balanced in most cases. I'm assuming since you weren't necessarily a huge fan of the game, you probably didn't watch the event yesterday, or did you?
No, I did not watch. I streamed for 10 hours yesterday, or 12 hours, something like that.
The final round of the competition ended up being my team versus Strippin's team. And there is a character in the game, and before you start saying, Fairlight, you're salty because you lost, and you're correct, I am. Screw you all. But just so that we're on the same page, I did not go into the event, lose to that tactic, and then turn around and say this is BS. This is broken.
That's exactly what you did.
I went to the devs before the event.
I went to the. Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna say I went to the devs instead.
No, I went to the devs. I went to the devs before the event even started, and I said, I have concerns about this particular character, because there's a character in the game, and I play a lot of the Raider class, and the Raider can grab a person, and he can carry them a very long distance in a straight line directly ahead of him. So if I grab you and the edge is anywhere behind you, like 20 feet behind you, I'm going to drag you all the way to the edge and throw you off. And some people, say that's kind of broken or OP and kind of annoying. I say just don't turn your back to the edge. The positioning is your fault. But they've recently added a character to the game named Warlord who can grab you, turn you first, and then go.
Oh shit!
So if there's an edge anywhere within 20 feet of you in any direction, he can just grab you and kill you. And you can counter it. You hit the grab button right at the same time as he grabs you. So if he grabs you, you have 1/10 of a second to press the grab button yourself and break his grip. But if you fail that skill check real quick at the beginning, he just grabs you. And then there's an edge 17 feet behind me to the right. Let's rotate and go this way, and then throws you off the edge. And the final match of the tournament yesterday boiled down to Strippin's team running 2 of those guys and just camping up top and just grabbing and throwing everyone off of edges the whole
Sounds
time.
like a beta tournament, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So what's kind of weird about this, though, is you just made the point that your guy can pick him up and throw him off, so it's up to the other player to position himself. And then you said that this other class can throw you off if you don't counter them. So there is a way you can counter them.
It's doable, but it's broken because he also can, if you have 2 characters who are reasonably well balanced in a 1v1 or have reasonably good crowd control, whatever, it's a fairly even matchup, except one of them can also instantly kill you if you are ever near an edge anywhere. And granted,
with a move that can be countered.
That can be countered, but also
I think that's the period right there.
It's not the period, because in any given fight, Like if you and I are fighting, there are going to be several guard breaks. Like if you don't guard break,
wouldn't it be like
hold on. I'm in the middle of this. I'm gonna get out so you guys can go ahead.
Yeah,
if you're
you just
near
get out
a
of the way.
ledge though, wouldn't you be expecting that? So not only would you know exactly how to counter it, but you'd be ready and willing to do that the second it happens?
In a game where you can fake moves and then switch into a different move at the last second, or you can like intentionally miss one move and combo into a different one and chain it in, like you can't react to everything quickly enough. And in any given fight, like the guard break exists to prevent stalemates, right? In this game, fights would never end if guard breaking weren't a thing, because like you could have your defense good enough to like, nope, I'm just countering all your moves. So in any given fight, 6 or 7 guard breaks usually go through. The difference is every other character in the game, when they land a guard break, the only thing they can do off it is usually like, I broke your guard and I got my quick hit in and took 10% of your health. My gripe with him was that he takes 100% of your health. And it's not like you can just say stay away from the edges when there are edges scattered around every map in like various elevations. Like he has so much map control that it's everywhere. And again, I pointed this out before the event. I said it's dumb to have a character who is also really good in 1v1s, is extremely tanky, has like crazy good defense, has like excellent poking with his little headbutt stab combo, to give him all that, and then also say, by the way, if you ever fight him near an edge and you fail even one guard break, you're dead.
So how would you fix that?
We
still keep the warlord viable.
We actually talked about this.
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. The thing I brought up, and I think this would be kind of cool, and for the raider too, for anybody who can do a move that shoves you far enough. Now, there should be a certain distance. Now, if you're really close to an edge, fine, everybody gets thrown off. But if the raider is taking, or raider or warlord is taking you far enough, in the middle of that, there should be a reversal opportunity where you can take them and like WWE, like turn it around and throw them instead. Like there should be an opportunity to do that if it's a long enough distance, because that is kind of bullshit. And that's how I got a lot of my kills, if not like 75% of my kills during that entire fucking tournament, was taking them long distances and tossing them off.
By the way, JP, that was my stream. That's not the VOD. I was dropping frames all stream this morning. You may want to find someone else.
Oh, okay. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Okay, yeah, I'll tune into my VOD. You guys will love that.
Well, see, the only thing that's kind of weird about that is, and don't get me wrong.
Hold on. I didn't get to answer the question yet. I have thoughts on this. Zeke, to answer your question, we actually brought that same point up to the devs, and they said that they didn't necessarily want to have a quick time event or a skill check. That is like you versus the computer. They always want it to be versus another player. So if I'm like making you guess left or right and you're matching it, that's me versus you. But if they have something where it's like press square to reverse, like that's no longer taking the other player's skill into account. That's just you reacting to a button prompt from the AI. And they didn't want to do that.
That's all I'm saying. I'm saying like an opportunity, no matter how mechanically it comes about, but an opportunity for a reversal or a stoppage.
Well, there's a very easy solution, and it's the one I told them, and just make the distance you can be dragged based on stamina. If you grab someone who has full stamina and you start trying to push them, they start resisting, and their stamina, you can burn their stamina with it. So, like, if I try to drag you and you say, no, I have full stamina, let me just hold guard, and my character will just like, no, and resist it, and it takes stamina. That way, if I grab you and you have no stamina, now you're helpless, and I'm going to carry you and chuck you, and it's your fault for getting so low on stamina.
The thing that's a little bit weird here, though, and again, I keep coming back to, like, strategy, because I see where you're coming from, and there's no question it's kind of a weird situation. But the other part of me wants to go, okay, so you know there's this character that can throw you from ledges from far away. So when you see that character, why don't you get close enough to the ledge so you know that you could do that to him, and then you just focus on countering him?
Okay, I have a clip for you, Ko, to answer your question.
Sure, absolutely. I've fought a lot of warlords too, and I'm no means a For Honor expert, but it seems like most things have like a way you can get around it at least a little. Like I know you don't lose to every single warlord. There's got to be times when you just you know what to do to get good against them, but it seems like that's a mechanic that's supposed to be there. There's just ways that you need to get around it that either involve positioning or where you are, or maybe make like, okay, they can throw you really far away, so just stand right next to the ledge, and that way if you counter him, you just throw him over and you're done, and stuff like that. Like, but then again, maybe there's places where the warlord can throw you over, but you can't throw him over, and this is, but still, it
Okay, here, I'm putting a link to a tweet that I put up in the chat here.
Okay, I'll grab it from the chat. Two things real quick while I'm grabbing this. One, there's a different clause in Cohh's contract where he has to defend the game until he dies on the show, so we don't have that.
I'll defend the game until
defending the game.
I will
There's
join
all
him.
sorts of shitty problems with this game. Have you seen you play? Like, there's all sorts of shit wrong with this game. For me,
Did you post the link, by the way?
important that it's if you're gonna tell everyone else to get good, you want to make sure that you're good too in these situations. You know what I mean? Let's make sure it's a bug and it's really cheap and not a situation that you could avoid a certain way. I'm just analyzing the situation and seeing if there's a different way you can do it. That's all.
Okay. I feel like when you look at this clip, you might change your mind a little bit. And keep in mind that during any given fight, you typically will throw out several guard breaks, right? And although you may counter a bunch of them, you're not going to counter all of them, right? Now, in this case, he did get me on the first one, so I'll give him that.
Okay,
but
I see what you're saying, and that was a pretty serious carry to the edge there.
Now you will notice in this clip, I specifically went around him so that his back was to the edge, and I was far away from it. Like there's 20 feet of space, and I took the superior positioning by saying, okay, I'm gonna keep him between me and the edge because I don't want to get.
It looks like you just charged him there instead of going down the stairs and waiting him to go there so he couldn't throw you over.
There's another clip of the same thing that you're talking about with Strippin, where he grabs you and drags you 20 feet towards the edge, and then when you disengage, he starts trying to grab you again, and like you can counter it. But again, if he can move you faster than you can run from it. Like, I think it's another clip with Shorty where as soon as the fight started, I started running, he grabbed and like started pulling back towards the edge, let go. I started running again, but he's actually able to like continuously pull farther than I can run, even when I spend all my time running. And secondly, you can't just have abandon the area as a viable solution, especially in a game that contains.
You could make him come to you. I mean, if he's next to an edge and you know he can throw you over, you don't have to run to him. I mean, you could have got like right here in this clip. Look, instead of rushing him right now, you could have gone down those stairs to your left, forced him to come to you, and then he couldn't have thrown you anywhere, and then you could have overpowered him there and done whatever you wanted with.
Potentially, but this is a game where you have game modes centered around occupying space and taking over the area. You can't say, oh, well, just don't go towards him. And he can sit there and say, well, I have point A. Guess what? You can never take it until you come in here and push me off. Like you have to eventually engage them. You can't run forever. And since almost every objective point in the game has some sort of an edge or a cliff or something near it, you're going to have this one character that can just grab you and say, oh, well, you know what? I don't feel like fighting you. Let's just go 30 feet this way. And here's the thing. I have been in fights with warlords where I have successfully shoved them off me 6, 7, 8 times because they keep trying to grab me. But eventually, sooner or later, they go to throw that swing, they feint it, and you're like predicting that block coming in, you go to block it, and then they go, oh, that was a fake, got you. And it's like the one time you fail, oh, well, now we're going to the edge. And once the animation starts, you can't do anything. For the next 4 seconds, you just watch as your guy gets run off the edge. It's a silly, stupid, and broken mechanic, and it's utterly frustrating. It shouldn't be in the game.
What class
is the solution to take those out completely?
No, the solution is what I just said. Like the distance you can drag people should be based on like stamina or health or anything other than just, oh, you got the guard break. Okay, let me put my controller down and wait 5 seconds because now I can't do it.
Cohh, weren't you listening?
Partially.
No,
I was watching the clip, probably, but
I was busy yelling.
Okay, that's cool. No, I see. I'm sure there's many situations when you could reposition, and there's also situations when this looks cheap as hell. And I've been thrown off my share of ledges from Conquerors and these guys too. So I know it sucks. I just, it's an interesting situation, and we'll just leave it at that. So I'm done arguing it.
Did this get nerfed at all or no?
Huh?
Did this because if I'm playing this class later today, did it get nerfed at all, or can he still do this? Because I'll just do this to people all day if I can.
He can still do that. So if you don't like the game, play the Warlord, and you will like the game.
Yeah, no, I'll just get through 2 hours playing this
that require no skill.
Yeah, I'm just gonna do that. It'll be great. I'll actually.
I don't think it doesn't require no skill. I mean, you have to have
literally
a thumb. You have to have a thumb.
It's literally pressing one button and pushing towards an edge. Yeah, and it's like, oh, it didn't work. Okay, let me try again. Oh, it still didn't work. Let me try again. Oh, he counted it. Oh, hey, it finally worked. Let me get a free kill.
Zeke, right here. I got you.
2 thumbs and likes the warlord.
That's me. Yeah, I mean, it does that. Look, Jesse, I'm with you. This would salt the fuck out of me if this happened. That looks infuriating.
And just one other thing, and then we can move on. What you were saying about hiding down the stairs from him, let me point out that same move, if he doesn't throw you off an edge, if he throws you into a wall, he gets a free heavy attack afterwards. So he's taking like 20-25% of your health regardless. So it's either
Sounds like you should counter it.
Yeah, you probably should. Now, if every single person had perfect reflexes and countered every guard break, that would make sense. But having a character who can punish you that hard for one missed grab, it doesn't make any sense.
Cool.
No one else in the game can punish that hard.
What? Co, you can't. Like, why are you being a dick? He's just trying to have a conversation.
I'm not being a dick. No,
and
it's
then
fine.
you're saying shit in chat to him when he's having a.
We're on different perspectives of the same issue. I see his point and I see his side. Hopefully he sees mine, and we'll both play the game and enjoy it.
Okay.
Mommy and Daddy are fighting.
Yeah, I don't like. Co started talking shit in chat, so I was confused what happened. I don't know if he got upset at Fairlight or what.
Chat, JP. Now you're the dick.
No, you said I'm not going to talk because I know I'm right.
My opinion, and that's fine. I'm leaving it alone. We'll agree to disagree.
I mean, a little bit harsher than that.
It happens. We're adults. It's okay.
What are you doing right after this broadcast?
Uh oh. I think Co's had a bit to drink. He'll use that as an excuse too. So don't try to 1v1 him.
That's ridiculous.
All right. Well.
So that's For Honor. It's just people arguing nonstop and being upset at the game.
Competitive PvP game, man. It's
yeah.
Part of the
pretty much. What is there anything new in today's beta than there was last time? Because I've not played yet. So I know there's a new map, but what else?
No. I was kind of hoping for the 3 new classes, but they're not.
There's a new mode in the game called Elimination, which wasn't in the previous streamable versions of the game, which is a 4v4 mode, but without the minions and the capture the hill mechanic or the king of the hill mechanic. It's literally just 4v4 last man standing. So you kill them, and then it goes to a new round, much like a round of Counter-Strike.
Okay, you would know this better than us. Are there going to be power-ups in other game modes?
As far as I know, the power-ups are limited to elimination mode only. And for those wondering, you can get sprint speed, attack damage, defense, or health regen. Those are 4 buffs that you can pick up off the ground. They're very strong, though. Like the attack damage buff, you hit way, way harder. I think it's close to double. The defensive buff literally doubles your health meter size, and the sprint speed buff makes you turn into Sonic the Hedgehog for like 30 seconds. So they're very influential, and a lot of it becomes kind of like if you've ever watched competitive Halo, the entire strategy usually revolves around control the power weapons like the sniper rifles and rocket launchers. Elimination mode in For Honor is rapidly turning into control the power-ups and just kind of like stay near those areas, and as soon as they respawn, grab it and then go kill someone with it.
I think one of the biggest things about this mode is reviving becomes exceedingly important. Reviving and executions become exceedingly important, because if you do not execute someone, there's a good chance that they'll be revived if their team knows what they're doing.
It's the only mode where
revive execute everybody. Yeah.
I gotta be honest, man. I don't like the power-ups at all. Yeah. Like it seems weird. Like right when the few times I played, right when the round begins, you're fighting one of 2 people, either someone who's going to fight you or someone who's going to immediately disengage and run and try to get a power up. And that seems weird. Like it doesn't seem like, I really hope they offer like a no power up mode for this stuff. It seems out of place to me.
Do they spawn on a timer, or what is the?
No. Well, it can give someone who is like down to like 2v1. It can give that person a chance to run away and possibly get a power up to defend themselves and possibly turn the tables.
Oh, okay.
It does create that turnaround potential, but more realistically, the winning team, the team that's already ahead, will just be controlling the power ups, and that's why they're winning. And as far as like a mode without it, I don't know if it'll be added to matchmaking or not. That would be a nice touch. But I do know that they were talking about a competitive mode for the game, which will likely just simply be the 4v4 mode without the power-ups.
Do you like the power-ups, Fairlight?
I hate them.
I'm with you there. Totally with you there.
And that's only in that one game mode?
It's only in that one game mode, yes.
Okay. And that's elimination?
No, I'm positive there's going to be a hardcore arena mode that's just like big circular, no ledges, no power-ups, just
an arena.
Hardcore, like skill to skill fighting.
Isn't that what 1v1 is?
No. 1v1 duels can be on all sorts of different maps with
Oh,
ledges everywhere. In some cases, you start on two sides of a bridge. And it's
Oh,
like,
okay, I didn't know
at
that.
that point, it's who gets thrown first. No, but Zeke, that'd be awesome. Like a Coliseum kind of deal where it's just like just walls, just a big circle of walls, and that's it. And you.
Well, I'd even like it if it was like Coliseum in that like 10 people in there and no teams.
They should talk to the developers
like Street
of
FFA. Ooh.
Oh, a free-for-all mode. They should import the map straight out of Chivalry, the Coliseum map. They hate it when I bring up Chivalry, but whatever. That Coliseum map with the spike pit in the center,
all the traps everywhere,
and the fireballs and everything.
Wait, the devs hate it when you bring up Chivalry?
They don't like having the game compared to Chivalry.
I mean,
dude,
isn't that like a direct?
Back at our For Honor event, JP, that we did at one of the it was I think Fairlight. It's one we did. Me and you did Fairlight. Like we brought up Chivalry backstage, and literally one of the guys. It was me and I think you, Fairlight, and one other person talking, and they were asking what the game was about before we were playing, and we were like, yeah, it's kind of like Chivalry. The dude breaks into our conversation, like he wasn't even in the conversation. No, it's not like
really, because I've found the people that really love For Honor are the people that really love Chivalry because of the comparisons.
Also,
it's very
I got
strange.
Strongly recommended for calling the soldiers creeps. I call the soldiers creeps.
That's what they are.
Straight up went like, no, they're not creeps. They're not creeps.
What the fuck?
They are minions. You must use League of Legends terminology. They are minions.
I wonder if they're gonna push this hard in esports with that type of like adamant control of the verbiage of the game. That seems very interesting.
Well, it's gonna depend on if they're the ones paying the shoutcasters or not.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
I think they were just strongly containing their terminology. Like they wanted to be set apart.
Probably
the same stuff said by the people they were paying, et cetera, et cetera. So, but they were definitely very on top of that. They made sure people knew what to say and not to say for that kind of stuff. It was a little. Not many companies did that for that kind of stuff.
That's interesting for sure. Well, like we do have so many games to talk about. So, final thoughts on For Honor around the horn. If anyone wants to say anything else.
It's a great game that we haven't seen in a long time in terms of the unique competitive atmosphere. It's really fun to watch and it's really fun to play. There hasn't been a game like this in a while. It's pretty cool.
It also provides a very unique opportunity, specifically for Twitch broadcasters, YouTube creators, and for would-be competitive players. In that this is a new IP with no existing ties to anything, so it's anyone's game. Like literally anyone could be the next top For Honor player. It's not like there's already established like
it's not a skill set that's already there's no skill set of a game that already exists like this besides maybe Chivalry. Kind of, not really.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
I would argue that the mechanics in the game are so very different from Chivalry that like being good at Chivalry will not mean you're going to be good at For Honor. They're just not the same.
Dude, it's like a fighting game. Like a lot of it's interesting because you watch like a fighter and they basically sit there and react off the other person. Like the best side fighters like Maximilian and those guys, they could talk all day about like techs and playing footsie and stuff like that. Yeah. That's the exact kind of stuff that's going on in For Honor. Split-second reactions and what you do is based on what your opponent does. It's all unique to its little environment. Like it really kind of plays sometimes like a straight up fighting game where you're kind of having to decide what you're going to do based on what's going on around you, position yourself and all that kind of stuff. It's cool, man.
With those two comparisons, I understand why I don't like the game because I don't like playing fighting games and I didn't like Chivalry. So it's just continuing to strengthen my resolve to not like this game. But go ahead, Fairlight.
Well, hopefully I'll change your mind if we do play later on.
Yeah,
I will say that my experience with Chivalry probably didn't really help, but experience coming from a Soul Calibur background really helped. Because the combo system in the game is pretty similar, as opposed to a lot of games like Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter, where it's just like, okay, well, I need to press A, B, X, Y. That's my little 5-hit combo that I'm going to get out every time. This is a game where most of your combos are more about, okay, I got the guard break. I got to get it into the wall hit, into the overhead, into the trip. And like you use the environment and like different stun counter type things. And that's how you put your combos together. So anyone coming from Tekken or Soul Calibur, you're going to have a little blast with it because it's the same concept.
Zeke, I feel like you're on another... Maybe I don't know how to describe this. What I'm trying to say is you're not as hardcore as maybe Co and Zeke at the game. Would you say that's accurate?
Fairlight.
Oh yeah, Fairlight. Is that accurate?
I go by Zeke sometimes.
So what are your thoughts on the game? And then we'll move on to Wildlands for about 5 or 10 minutes.
My thoughts on the game. Once I figured out how to play and what my role is, and that kind of stuff. And I can only compare it to games that I've actually played that have a similar mental feel to them for me, like Overwatch, where once I figured out what my role is in Overwatch, I figured out what my role is in For Honor, what I'm good at, and how I can contribute to the team depending on the game mode. And also how to, more often than not successfully defend myself. Then it became a lot of fun. There is one gripe that I have that is not a huge gripe, but I want way more varied pieces of armor and weapon heads and staffs and that kind of shit. I just want they're such subtle little differences that you don't really notice them on the battlefield. So I want many more different variations of fashion.
That makes sense.
Because I like looking cool as well as winning.
That makes sense.
Well, if they put the same level of detail and customization into it that they have with Rainbow Six Siege, you won't be disappointed.
That's one thing
That's
that
true.
is
And Rainbow Six Siege
Yeah.
is not only still under development, but it just had a huge patch, redid the UI, new maps, new operators, whole 9 yards, and it's like what, almost 2 years after.
Yeah, they
release now? It's
just
been
they
out
just
for a long
started
time.
2 years announcement or whatever. Like
Also,
last
someone in chat brought up a good point, and there may be new viewers in here that have never watched. It is important to mention this, and it's important that it's said. Me, JP, Fairlight, and maybe Zeke are all involved in a For Honor promo right now.
Yep.
So just wanted to make that perfectly clear.
Sure.
We
We
don't
should've said at the
have to
start.
talk positively about the game,
Nope, we do not.
but just keep in mind that's what's going on. So
Yeah.
that being said, there's also like 30 other casters involved, and again,
It's big.
all we have to do is play the game for 2 hours on X days. We are not obligated to speak highly about it or anything like that, but it's important you guys know that. So
Yeah. I also think it's
JP
interesting.
and I both shit on the game while doing sponsorship.
Well, no, I was not sponsored for that day. That's why I was.
you weren't?
That's
You
why I
heard
was
me
so
about
critical.
You play today, trying to invite friends to play with me. I went on like a good 5-minute rant about how terrible that system is.
Did Uplay get a major update today? I noticed the overlay was very different. The interface.
I turned off
for
the
U-
overlay. I need to turn it back on. Actually, thank you for
Oh,
reminding me.
the Uplay interface and overlay apparently had some sort of a major patch today because I couldn't find my friends anymore. They moved everything around. There's now a bug where when I get an incoming message, it leaves the notification there like after I read it, and I couldn't get it to go away. And I
Jeez.
scroll up and down, there is no new message. So when people actually are messaging me, I can't tell because I already have the little exclamation
Yeah.
point up there. It
sucks.
was
It was
Well,
going,
dude, I ran into the fun part today where I couldn't invite people to my group outside of the game after I disabled the overlay. The only way I could is inside, and the amount of friends I have on my list, it won't load them all. It loads up to like K.
Hey, at least they fixed the glitch they had in the last beta where if you had more than 50 friends, your entire list wouldn't show at all.
Yeah, that was fun.
I
Jeez.
deleted I had to delete about 90 people off my friends list just to be able to invite people. So yeah, if there's anything I want to criticize about the game, it's like for starters, the platform it's being spread on. Like I hate Uplay, but Ubisoft, I used to be very critical of them because they released like a series of games that I couldn't stand, but with like successful games that have actually been really good, like Far Cry 4 and Rainbow Six Siege in recent years, I have a little bit more faith in them going forward to hopefully maintain the game well.
Yeah, they definitely have a strong lineup. I do find it very interesting as we start talking about Wildlands that it's releasing so close to For Honor, like within less than 30
It's
days.
another Titanfall 2, Battlefield 1.
It really is, and I don't know if they basically looked at the two games and decided, well, this one's probably going to be bigger, and went with all the promo on that, because as far as I know, they're not paying 30 streamers to do promoted streams during open betas of Wildlands like they are for For Honor. So we ended up playing. You played Wildlands as well, Co, right? You played it that morning?
I have not played it, but real quick, are they
Oh.
different Ubisofts? Ubisoft
I
has a
don't know.
lot of different development companies, like
I don't know
Ubisoft
if they're both-
Montreal and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So.
I'll look at
And
that.
by the way, real quick, to those talking about it in chat, we have definitely talked about Far Cry before. For Honor, we have definitely talked about the fact that it's P2P. We've had that discussion. So for those wondering if we're not going to talk about it, we have already talked about the P2P multiplayer server stuff. We don't like it.
I do actually have an update on that may or may not have been mentioned just yet, which is I was talking again to the devs at the event, and it is peer-to-peer, but it has a unique feature that they call timestamping, or as he referred to it, like peer-to-peer plus. Basically, when you load the match, like both players are synced at first, and it starts a timestamping based on the round start timer. So, and any action that takes place after that, it compares the timestamp and like has lag correction based on that. So like if one person's the host and the other person has 90 ping, every time you take an action, the server that you're currently playing on is taking your action versus their action and correcting it based on the difference in time, and if necessary, giving that person the advantage. Which is why sometimes you'll see an example of a player dodges backwards and the other player tries to grab. But then after the lag correction, it realizes, no, actually he grabbed before the guy jumped back. It was just lag. And so then the guy who tried the grab, actually the game will just like slide him forward and give him the grab. So it does correct some of those issues. And I will say I'm going to say I've played 400 to 500 matches of the game. I've only had about 4 total that I believe were like lag screwed the game. I definitely had one opponent that I would attribute the entire match to just lag, because I literally couldn't like my weapon would just go through him and he would warp out of the way. Like obviously that does happen sometimes, but it's pretty rare. Like I've only had it happen. I could probably count it on one hand out of hundreds of matches that I've played.
He explained it like this. He explained it like your screen will catch up to the correction after the actual computer does, like after the actual like
network does.
Game does.
Yeah.
Wouldn't just
So
to be clear though, like that would
what it looks like happens is not what actually in real time with the correction happens. So 2 things happen at the same time, but it doesn't look like that because someone else has more lag, like he was saying. But
wouldn't that be infuriating for one of the players though, to see what's not happening and then have the opposite happen?
But it's the time difference that corrects it is so small. You see it so very seldom. It's like 400 milliseconds or something like that.
It becomes much more noticeable if you're, say, on the west coast of the U.S. playing against someone from Austria. Well, now you're going to see the difference because of the major ping problem you're going to have. But as long as you're playing reasonably close to your own region, it's not much of a problem. And I've played against European players, and granted, I can sometimes tell that it's happening, but I don't think it's enough to dictate the outcome of the game. Like the host advantage isn't enough for me to blame that if I lose. I'll blame ledge throws instead.
Well played.
Zeke, talk to me about Wildlands for about 10 minutes.
Maybe I had a hard time explaining to the chat, but I made sense in my head. You guys are just idiots.
Well, I think
All right.
timestamping is just rubber banding. I think that's like the code word for devs that isn't
Maybe I
negative.
don't use your fancy schmancy science talk.
That's really actually the troll language is what you don't understand.
I can't believe we've got 12,000 idiots in this chat.
I know. We should join a new community. I think that's our
Okay,
issue.
Wildlands.
Talk to me about Wildlands.
Wildlands was a lot of fun, but it was the reason why it was fun is because it was just very gimmicky, a very glitchy kind of a fun beta thing to do with friends. This is not a game I would ever play on my own.
No, I don't think anyone should ever play this game on their own. I think this game should be played with friends, and that's it. Like, we played for what, 3 hours? It was me, Fairlight, Zeke, and Ammunition. I think we played for about 3 hours and did everything in the demo last week. And it was a demo that lasted 4 days. So I don't know what they, like the time available versus time actually in the demo. It didn't. I don't know. I don't know what they were going for there. But I agree. Like it seems like a good game, but it's more fun with friends and about 1 billion times less fun with solo play. I feel like there was a typo and they meant to say it's going to be a 4-hour beta and it turned into a 4-day beta because we burnt through like all the content in the 3.5 hours that we played, and then we played a total of about 4.5 hours, and I'd say in the first 3.5 we finished everything, and then for the last hour was us just like chasing that one last mission that we couldn't complete. There was a convoy that you're supposed to intercept, and the convoy like comes onto the map, takes a little turn, and then like goes back outside the map. Yeah, and if you go outside the map, you die. You can't go beyond a certain area.
You can't chase it.
Yeah, it was kind of bad.
Other than that one, we finished everything like very, very quickly.
Yeah.
I put the clips in the
all right.
I had like 3 or 4 of them in that tweet.
Yep, I'll follow this up. Were you going to ask a question or comment on it?
So okay, I was gonna play this game the morning that I got access to Nioh. And I was going to play it for like an hour or two, check it out, and then play Nioh. So I ended up watching streams for about 30 minutes and quickly came to the conclusion this was not something I wanted to stream solo at all. So I just went right into Nioh. That being said, you guys have actually spent time with it. we had a lot of potential concerns about this game. Now that you've spent a few hours in it, how do they stack up?
Well, I think I was pretty excited for it. You and Zeke definitely had a lot of concerns for it. I think that my excitement has met your concerns and almost middled out to where it's kind of like, meh. Like I'd play the game with friends, but I would never go into it with a solo play of the entire game because it seems one thing that it does, I guess, seem is very large. It seems like there's a lot to do in the full game. Not so much in the beta version of it. But Zeke, I'm interested to hear your thoughts as well as Fairlight. So go ahead, Zeke.
No, I really don't have any like deep thoughts about this. This isn't my kind of game. It's not my kind of like feeling. I've never really enjoyed like any of the Ghost Recon kind of games. Mm-hmm. They're not my style, but I had a fucking blast playing with you guys, especially because it was the beta with all the weird shit that would happen.
There was a lot of bugs. All these clips that I'm showing are just like giant bugs, and I think that's why we had fun with it, not necessarily because of the game, which maybe is not the best thing.
What the hell is going on there?
When the bugs are better than the game.
And now that's how he's flying the plane, by running on the chopper by running on the top of it.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
That was my screen. Like a lot of the game was just me like highlighting. Like
there was also there was visual bugs like this where we were all in there and you couldn't see it, but there was also like massive desync where Anne would be like, I'd be standing in front of Anne on my screen in my game, but on her screen I'm like across the fucking continent over in a giant area by myself, and she didn't know that we were there for the longest time until eventually I would die, and then it would put me back in the correct place where on her game. So definitely some syncing issues. This is the PC version, I should also state. We don't know if there was issues on the PS4 version at all. I don't know if it was on Xbox Live, so I can't speak to that. But yeah, there was definitely a lot of bugs with it.
Speaking to someone who really enjoys like deep story and stuff like that, I was not even after watching like the first opening preview or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Explaining like the story of the game, I was like, I don't give a fuck. This doesn't interest me now. It's like, drugs in a country with bad guys. Okay, let's go.
Yep. Fairlight, you got any words to say on Wildlands before we move on to Conan?
I don't have anything like particularly profound to say. They've just taken a hodgepodge of like every typical like third-person shooter action trope and crammed it into an open world game. If you've ever played Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, mostly Ubisoft games, come to think of it, where you like wander a giant open map and like, unlock the tower, go here, grab the upgrade, and then you have just a long checklist. It's like that with a very generic third-person shooting mechanic to it. And I might be biased because I personally just despise third-person shooters in general. I play almost all games in first person. I don't like the over-the-shoulder look. For shooting, before you start saying, but For Honor's in third person. That's not a shooter. That's not a shooter. Shut up. But when I'm playing a shooter, I don't like the over-the-shoulder mechanic. So I might be biased. I did think it had a couple neat features, like the ability to individually mark different targets for synchronized shooting. Yeah. So if you have 4 players looking down at the same compound, you could pick 4 different targets. And you could mark them, and it's like if I mark someone, it's going to have like my icon appear over their head, and then Zeke could mark someone, and his icon appears, and it's like, okay, ready, fire, and you all take out your targets simultaneously. But that seems really redundant in a game where even on the hardest setting, I recall you and I just walked into how many bases and just no, we'll just shoot everyone with our assault rifle, even though this is Ghost Recon. It's supposed to be like a recon tactical, stealth sniping, a tactical stealth sniping game, but you and I just walked into multiple enemy bases with assault rifles and shot everyone without any issue on the hardest setting. So it feels like all those features are just going to be ignored because you don't need them.
Yeah, I agree with everything that people have said. A lot of people are saying that, since we were just talking about For Honor, I'll compare it to that. For Honor is a game where the beta kind of makes sense because you're playing For Honor and you're getting the full game for the most part in the game, in the second to gameplay. In this, we were limited to just the small little portion of the entire map. We didn't get access to that many guns. There was a couple things that were just behind, like leveling and stuff like that. So hopefully if they iron out a lot of the nonsense of desyncing and just that shit and fix some of the bugs that we saw in the beta, that maybe it'll be a good time with a bunch of friends. But I do not see a good time for a solo experience in this game. It'd be very hard. You have to just fuck with the AI or something the entire time. Because you get 3 AI teammates if you're playing. They give you teammates. They're just not real people. And they're not the smartest bunch from what I've seen. So,
but they do use that synchronized sniper shot if you tell them to, which is cool.
Do. That's kind of cool.
If you're in single player, it becomes very handy because you can tell your first AI partner, you target him, second guy get him, third guy get him, I get this guy, and then you hit the button and then bang, 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 like multiple targets all down at once. So there's some cool moments like that.
Yeah.
But overall, I don't think that's groundbreaking enough to really warrant buying the game over any other whatever your favorite shooter franchise is.
Yeah. I'll be very interested to see as these games, as For Honor and Wildlands come up very close to each other, where the marketing resources go. And I think you can already see where they're going. The fact that they just had a giant event for Honor with paying 30 streamers to play the game. They had giant celebrities at the event, and Wildlands had a 4-day demo, and that's it. There's nothing else. So
I did double check your question from earlier, whichever of you asked about the studios. For Honor is Ubisoft Montreal, but Ghost Recon is Ubisoft Paris, so 2 different studios. I don't know if that affects their marketing game plan or not.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I think Montreal is generally regarded as actually, is Paris regarded as like the main HQ of Ubisoft? Which one is the main headquarters for Ubisoft Dev? Do you guys know?
Wikipedia, go.
I don't know which one's considered like the main one, the big one. So that might also have something to do with it. I thought it was Montreal, but it might be Paris.
The Paris one is definitely older, 1986.
Okay, maybe it is Paris.
As opposed to Montreal, which was 1997. I don't know if that makes it the main one or not. That's just the first available info.
Definitely. It might just be similar. Let's talk about Conan. A game that took Twitch by storm about 2 weeks ago and is still doing pretty well, actually. I do not fucking understand it whatsoever. I've not played it, so maybe that's why, but I've watched it, and it seems very much like Ark with a reskin. So tell me why I'm wrong.
Yes. Okay, you aren't.
Okay, great. I love hearing that.
You aren't at all. In fact, that's one of the reasons it is so successful. Because, see, the thing is people love survival games. They love games that they can build stuff in. They love games that can go out and kill stuff with their buddies and do their little RP thing, and it's great. So everyone had played Ark, played it into the ground. As Fairlight can tell you, for a while, everyone watched Ark. I mean, Fairlight, I remember your 17 to 20,000 daily streams for weeks, because that was the hotness at the time. But just like any game, over time, it gets boring. You watch the same stuff over and over. So then a new game comes out that's pretty much 80% Ark, but it's all new stuff with new graphics. Yeah. And that last 20% is relatively interesting. And it's got a different way that it does building systems. And there's not dinosaurs, there's NPCs that you can make your interns.
And there's giant jiggling boobs.
And a lot of nudity, yeah.
Well,
but short answer is Conan is a surprisingly relatively bug-free new survival game. It is about 80% everything you've done before if you've played Rust or Ark, but there's like 20% of relatively cool flavor that's fun to watch and play for a little bit, and then you've done everything and you move on, just like you inevitably always do. And that's why if you go to Conan now, you'll notice instead of the top streams having 15 and 20K people like they did last week, now they have, I don't have it in front of me, but probably between 2 and 5.
Yeah, I know.
There's not a big streamer watching.
Waffle gets pretty good viewership at night for it. He was getting like 15,000 earlier this week for his nightly streams. So
the top stream has 5,200, and the one behind that has 700. And that's pretty much what these games kind of just go. Now, of course, it is still, and by the way, when I say bug free, what I should have said is relatively playable. There's still huge amounts of bugs, but you can still play for a few hours at a time and have a relatively decent experience. It's not like Ark when it released. When Ark released, it was a complete unoptimized mess, crashed all the time. Like, it took them a good couple weeks to make it playable. And then once it became playable, they started making it decent. And I haven't played Ark for a long time. I don't know if it got decenter, but Conan, needless to say, is a game that you can kind of establish your own loops, and then once you get those down, you can kind of maneuver around the bugs, and you can have a relatively good time for about a week. And then you've done everything, and you've seen all the cool stuff you want to see, and you go on to the next game. But that's the thing. Anytime and this is like a recipe for developers. Anytime you develop a relatively solid survival game that is playable with other people and has somewhat interesting mechanics, especially ones that may come in down the road, like giant fighting avatars and a magic system and being able, corruption. You have to enslave dancers to get it off you. Like all this stuff that other games haven't really done before, but are in the game. Like it becomes a phenomenon for a little period of time, which it did. Yeah. And then everyone's seen it for about a week and they trot on to the next game. So that's what happened. And that's what we'll see again the next time another survival game comes out that's big.
Yeah.
As a person who's on the outside, I'm curious why they attached the name Conan to it, or Conan.
I'll tell you exactly why. It's by Funcom, who made an MMO called Age of Conan, and this is actually not only uses some of the same assets, including music and stuff, but it's set in the same world.
Oh, well, that makes sense. Best thing about the MMO, Co will attest to this, the horse's kick. It's best thing. You can kick people off of fucking ledges and shit with the horse.
That was fun.
People walk by and...
Can we not go back to the ledge?
Yeah, don't talk about ledge kicking.
God, that's right. I don't want to trigger anyone. Oh, God. I forgot about that.
Corner, like, rocking back and forth.
It's like, keep the horse away from me.
I'm sorry about that. The other thing that I think was...
Those horses are cheap. They can kick you off like 30 feet away.
The horse dragged me 30 feet and threw me off a cliff, man. I'm salty.
Well, if you would have countered him, Fairlight.
Have you tried countering?
You're getting back into it. Stop. This has to stop.
You know what would be great if Conan was in VR?
Oh, God. Don't start this shit.
Then you can get right up in those titties, right, Zeke? Get right up in it.
7 more episodes, guys. 7 more episodes. Can't wait. That was the other thing with the game is this came out, and pretty much everywhere I went was just people talking about penises and breasts in video games and why that was the big reason why the game is getting so many viewers, because people were just jerking off to streams as people played. Like, dude, do you guys want to talk about that for a couple minutes?
It's full of free pornography.
I know.
I got to admit, it's super weird when big streamers were like, hey, got to use the bathroom real quick. I'm going to run a 3-minute ad. Hit I to open inventory. Manually remove all clothes. Position character so you can see TNA. All right, I'll be back in like 3 minutes, guys.
Yeah.
Saw that over and over. You'd see people that are like, hey, I'm going to work on my base. Let me strip down real quick. Let me remove all my armor. All right, cool. There we go. And it's just like...
it was happening everywhere. Like, and the other thing too is I would watch people that that typically would average, I don't know, 200 to 300 viewers. They would stream this and they would just walk around completely nude the entire time, and the viewership would spike up to like 2,000 and like 2,500. And then the topic of the stream became, why am I nude? Not, this is Conan Exiles. Like, it was very interesting to see that stuff just rampant across Twitch. 100%.
Well, maybe it's because of this. Honey, what are you watching in there? Oh, I'm just watching Twitch.
Maybe so.
I'm going to check your browser history. Okay,
Honey,
that's fine.
Honey, why is the door locked?
Get out of my room.
Are you okay in there?
It was a thing for sure. Do you guys think it generated success for the game on Twitch, or does it have nothing to do with it? What is your honest opinion?
For the nudity?
Yeah, like did the nudity help the game do what it did for the past 2 weeks or past week on Twitch?
Unquestionably, yes. Although I do think that the game would have had at least a fair amount of success anyway, simply because of like all of what Code described earlier, with it essentially copying the ARC formula and following the whole survival game mold. Like, these games do have their very large fan base. The problem with all of these games is they become repetitive very quickly, and people move on, and the servers become desolate quicker, it seems, than other genres, just because it becomes a race to hit the top level, build a big base. Oh, well, now we made this giant impenetrable base and we basically own the server. Now there's nothing else left to do in the game. Time to move on.
A lot of things that I saw on, I think it was on, pretty sure it was on Twitter, but like of base rating and how dirty people were getting with that. Was that Conan?
Yes, yeah, it was Conan, and what happened was
drama.
Salty about that.
Yeah,
shit.
I saw that.
When the game first came out,
in any survival game that involves base rating. That's the same shit that's been said over and over since Rust, since Ark. Any
Fair, like,
server
go ahead
that
and
allows
interrupt- Oh, he interrupted you like 3 times. Go ahead and
Not
Go
to
ahead.
not to the degree in Conan though, where when the game first came out, you would actually unlock the Iron Sword sooner than you would unlock the tier 2 walls, which meant that you could not defend your base from players of an equal level, because when you first start the game, you only have like these fairly weak stone walls, and as soon as you get any iron tool, you can break those walls down. And I don't mean you can like eventually chisel them down. I mean you can simply just walk up and whack it down in like 3 hits. Like, it was very easy to raid bases. And this is a game where we're talking bases can take hours upon hours to build, as you have to farm the resources. And what are you punching up there? You have to like farm these resources for hours to put these bases together. But then one person can make this one little item, just walk up and say, oh, wow, look at this really nice base. They probably spent 20 hours building it. And let me just whack your wall down and take all your stuff in a matter of seconds. I actually did, the last time I streamed the game, I actually found a guy outside his base. I went onto a random public server because I knew I was going to be a douchebag. I was intending to just go find. You're gonna like this.
I'm excited right now. Tell me how you ruined someone's life, Fairlight.
I JP talking on the phone. Oh yeah, what you wearing?
Oh. No, I decided I wanted to go raid a few bases. But I didn't want to piss off other streamers and ruin their content, especially if you spend a 10-hour stream building a base. It sucks to log in.
I'm not on board anymore. I'm getting a new hotline. Continue, though. I'm getting a new hotline, though.
So I went onto a random public server, and I was like, on this server, at least I can just be a total douche and raid whatever I want, and I don't care what these randoms think, and I'm not pissing off other streamers. So I went to go find a base, and a guy walked outside of his base, and we double-teamed him and killed him real quickly. and in his inventory, we found a steel pickaxe. With that one pickaxe, I then looked at his entire base and realized every single item in this base can now be destroyed because this item is like a higher armor classification than the walls. So with his own pickaxe, then we killed him. We took the axe. I broke one of his foundations, which took like 4 swings. Like, it's stupidly easy to raid bases. I was like, 1, 2, 3, 4. The wall comes down. We jump into the base. He's respawned and he's coming back. We kill him with his own pickaxe. We walk into his base and he's respawning at his bed, right? We walk into the base. He's respawning again. We kill him with his own pickaxe again. We then destroy the bed. Now he cannot respawn. So he respawns.
It's kind of like salting the earth after you like destroy a village.
Yeah, pretty much.
He cannot raise crops anymore.
This gets better. He respawns on the other end of the map now because his base was way in the north, and that game always spawns you in the south. So once we broke his bed, he now has like a 20-minute hike naked to try and get back to his own base.
Well, if he was streaming, he would have got views. He's an idiot. That's his fault.
My buddies, we looted so much stuff from his base that what we managed to carry away, we found a different spot, and we literally had so much material, we built our own base.
Jeez.
Instead of hours and hours and hours of farming, it took me 30 seconds to like gank him, break his wall, and then set up an entire base with the crap that we carried out of his. So I can understand people getting upset at the salt in the game because hours and hours and hours of work can be destroyed in 2 minutes, as I very clearly demonstrated on that poor guy.
Yeah, that was one of the reasons I didn't play, because I played Ark, and it was the same thing. I played Ark for like 10 hours straight because that's what happens in these games. You get addicted to just building something or creating something. And then after the 10 hours, Gmart decided to take my fucking pterodactyl or whatever, the eagle that we fucking tried to tame for hours, and it just gets it killed by like a T-Rex. I'm like, oh, that's Ark. I'm done. I'm going to quit now. So I knew exactly what it was going to be.
The best part about this was on the first day, you could use your fists to break down walls and foundations.
In Conan?
So what you would see, in Conan, yeah, absolutely. So what you saw on the first day is like, I'll never forget, I just finished up my cast and I was watching Summit, and he had like this little army of fisters, and they would be like, they'd coordinate around the side of a wall, and then they'd all be like, okay, be quiet, don't hit the wall yet, they'll hear us, don't hit, okay, ready, 3, 2, 1. Okay, walls down. Go. And they just like run into their base. It was terrible. And they were fighting like Lyric and Shorty and Waffle at the time. And it just became this entire game of like, who can get the wall down quickly with fists before it was done. I think they actually patched that out shortly after.
Jeez.
But man, there was this like Wild West 3 days where everyone was just totally paranoid about their stuff. No one would leave their base. and it was pretty fun.
This kind of like, I don't know if this dates me or anyone is even going to get the reference, but it reminded me just now of the Doozers and the Fraggles, where the Doozers would build these buildings, and the Fraggles would come and
Fraggle
eat them,
Rock?
and the Doozers would just build them up again.
Yeah.
Nice.
I will say the one thing, and then we'll move on to Nioh. The one thing that is cool about games like this is that even though I didn't play, I got to watch a ton of my friends and a ton of streamers all play together in the same world and either fuck with each other or build stuff with each other, have some sort of communication. And that stuff, as I've said before with things like Overwatch, like that's the best. That makes games so much fun.
Also, big shout out to the Twitch RP community. Because what they did on the first day was they basically got a server together, and they're usually like, they've got their rules set and you have to follow them and stuff, but they got servers up quick. Their admins worked their ass off, and they basically said, hey, are you streaming? You want to come play? Cool. We're not really enforcing rules right now. Just be a decent dude, and you're welcome on our server.
That's awesome.
That was huge. That was one of the reasons in the first few days that you saw every streamer playing basically on the same server. So shout out and thank you to Twitch RP, and more importantly, the admins, because those patches were coming fast and hot, and every time they'd have to redo configuration files and reset passwords and do all this stuff, and that was all they were doing totally free. So cool. that was really cool of them. And it was very much appreciated by the majority of us. Yeah,
that's good to see that stuff. So yeah, that's Conan. It seems like it's died down on Twitch, like we were talking about earlier. So we'll see what happens. I'm kind of curious to see what happens to that game also on Steam, because it's still sitting at the #1 selling game on Steam when you click on top sellers. And someone in chat said they sold like 320K copies and already made back their production cost. So let's see what happens with that.
Do we have any examples, like well-known examples of like the whole early access survival game genre where a game has actually like been successfully completed and still popular and played after its full release?
H1Z1 maybe?
H1Z1's not a survival game. I mean,
yeah, I understand what you're saying. You're saying in the essence of Conan or Ark, right?
Well, yeah, anything similar. When I think of H1Z1, I think of the Battle Royale mode that they relentlessly promote and not the survival mode that rarely ever gets mentioned.
That's true.
I mean, there's Rust and Forest and that kind of stuff.
That's
Forest
true.
has made huge strides.
Forest has done pretty good.
Forest is one of the only early access products that went from like an actual beginning of being a nearly unplayable mess into like a story with a beginning of an end and tons of features, and they're still making it. Like the Forest is like an early access success story.
Yeah.
But and Rust is pretty good too, but the problem is halfway through the development they decided, as every Rust player knows, to like completely reinvent their game, which set everything back years literally. So but I mean, they're still developing it. They got an active Twitter, they're doing all sorts of stuff to it. So but again, it's never going to be done. There's no end. So it's like it's really weird because there's never gonna be like, okay, we're released now. Like they're in too deep at this point.
You can't stop now. I guess I guess my concern is like, so we can come up with these few examples, but then we could turn around and there's hundreds of examples of games that followed this hundreds or thousands of games that followed this exact same pattern, and then they just get abandoned and never finished, and basically as soon as the devs see their sales starting to decline. So I'm just really hoping Conan doesn't go that same road. If For Honor hadn't come out, I might have still been streaming Conan today.
Yeah.
Because I'm one of those. I played Ark long past its initial popularity phase, and like you mentioned, the first couple weeks of that game, it had an insane level of popularity that I was like fortunate enough to capitalize on. But even after those like 20,000 viewer streams like tapered off, and I was back to my fairly usual view count, I was still hooked on the game. So for me personally, like I love the genre. The reason I like kind of shied away from Conan was just it was too laggy. The server performance was horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to say chat, Subnautica and 7 Days to Die are both. I see a lot of people saying DayZ, y'all are ridiculous. That game's still freaking terrible. But all the other ones are
I saw
good.
Darkest Dungeon, and I was like,
yeah, no, they're just naming names. That's why I started.
No, to be fair, Darkest Dungeon has made a lot of. It's another good early access game where it started with a little and now it has a lot. And now it actually has an ending, which was not in the game for a while. So
I guess I should have stipulated that when I was referring to like similar games to Conan and Ark and whatnot, I was referring to like large multiplayer world survival sandbox games. The ones you've listed so far, like The Forest and Subnautica, those are single player or small party. Very small party or single player. Whereas like these larger ones, they never really seemed to
God,
get done.
what was that big one that everyone was all about for a while? Bikeman played the hell out of it. It was the one. It was like before Ark that had dinos. You guys remember that? And everyone thought it was like the next big thing.
The
And
Island.
devs were like,
The
oh,
Island.
by the way, we stopped working on this.
It was The Island. Was the name of it.
The Island. That's
I don't think I ever played that.
Which even before The Island, you had another one called The Stomping Lands. Which
yeah,
again,
Stomping. That's the one I was thinking of. I was thinking of Stomping Lands. Yeah, do I still have that in my Steam inventory? The Stomping Land. Yep.
yeah,
Right
that was
here.
another like survival sandbox, like not massively multiplayer, but large number of players on the server with dinosaurs and everything. And it's like, hey, this game's really cool. I'm having a lot of fun, like bashing other cavemen over the head and killing these dinosaurs. And hey, the devs just left. And hey, what? And that's just.
Yeah,
always seems to
Stomping
happen.
Lands was the big one. That was supposed to be the new hotness for like a week, and then it just like disappeared.
That was like 2 years ago, right? That was a while.
It was a while ago.
Yeah,
It's been
I
a
don't
while.
think I played
It was
that.
a while ago.
I don't think I played Stomping Lands. So yeah, that's Conan.
Oh,
Well,
Beast of Prey 2. That was another one that just disappeared
Never
after
even-
being an open world survival game, just gone.
Never even heard of that game at all.
Rest in peace, Reign of Kings.
I do
Reign of
remember
Kings?
Reign of Kings.
Did that game
Reign of-
ever get like decent?
Reign of Kings was decent right off the bat. It was.
No, it was a laggy. Combat was a joke. Like it was just a laggy mess.
Hello, is anyone home? It had the best combat of any, like, it was the best melee combat of any survival game out there. You're telling me you like Conan's spam left click or arcs like poke with spear repeatedly over the.
It was a cool idea, but none of it worked.
Zeke,
it
it's
was
gonna-
laggy. It was literally like guessing what your
Zeke, it's
character was
gonna
going to
happen
do
again.
3 seconds in advance and hope that it lined up. Like it was
To
a
quote-
mess.
To
happening
quote
again,
CohhCarnage, if you were good at it, you would have had fun. Because I killed entire.
Says the guy that
circles.
gets thrown off ledges and blames mechanics. Okay, cool.
Says the guy who will win every duel in Reign of Kings, though, because it worked flawlessly. At
No one
least for me.
cares who wins duels in Reign of Kings. This game sucks.
It's happening, Zeke.
You're changing topics. We were just talking about the combat engine, and now you're attacking the rest of the game. It had the best.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go get a
melee
drink
combat.
after this. I'm gonna break break
I
my
need another
rule.
beer, and I'm not even done with this one.
It had the best combat engine of any survival game that's been out so far, which I realize is not saying much. It's not at all, because all of the others basically boil down to spam left click, and whoever has the stronger weapon wins. Like in Conan, oh, I have a steel sword, you have an iron sword. Guess who wins? And you just left click each other. At least Reign of Kings had like parry, block, counter
tried.
timing.
It tried.
It tried.
And it was a good effort. It just sucked. But it was a good effort. It was a good effort. They tried to chivalry it a little bit, which was pretty cool.
It was
and I
chivalry.
like that. Yeah, they tried to like make it more engaged, and I remember
You
really
sound like-
liking that when I
you
first
sound
saw
like
it. But then I used it
describing-
for a while, and it didn't like the vision was there, but it wasn't realized. And
sound
that's
like-
why I asked, like, did it ever get decent? Because I was hoping that maybe they tightened it up enough to where it actually felt like you were playing chivalry, which would have been awesome. Like that would have been fantastic. But it just, yeah, I don't know. Maybe you played it longer than I did, Fairlight, so maybe it got better. But when I stopped playing Reign of Kings, like literally you'd swing your sword, and the meta was that you'd have to guess where the person would be, not where they were.
Can I ask
you
what
couldn't
server
couldn't
played
actually
on?
fight them where they. But anyway, this
No. Reign of Kings in 2017. I'm done. We're
Yeah,
done.
let's
All
just
right,
talk
we're
about
fucking
it.
done. The game's dead. 5 people play it. We're not talking about it. Let's talk about Nioh.
Talk about Nioh.
Is our final game. Me and Cove played it. Fairlight and Zeke. I don't think you guys have had the time to touch it yet, right?
Only the demo that came
Okay.
out like a month or two ago. I played that through all the way. Thoroughly enjoyed it. It reminded me a lot of one of my all-time favorite games, is just Onimusha.
Yeah.
It reminded me a lot of that, and I was kind of excited to play it now, except it came out at the same time as For Honor, which I have a million commitments to already. So
Yep.
I probably won't be playing it as much as I would like to.
That makes sense.
But it looks fantastic.
Cole, I want to set you up before you talk here. A lot of people, when I play this game, would kept saying, I was like, yeah, it's very similar to Dark Souls. And then they would go and say, well, Code doesn't think that at all. And then I realized that we're playing the game completely different from one another. I found the way to make this like Dark Souls very, very quickly by playing with the axe. And you're not playing with the axe whatsoever. You're using a ton of items. You're using a spear. And I also want to state, right now, this game is definitely like Game of the Year list, without a doubt, for me. I don't know if it is for you.
Dude, I heard how you're playing the game, and I totally see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Like after hearing how you're playing it, like it's very similar.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome, and I think that that's a totally 100% cool way to play it. Like when I heard about how you were doing it and stuff, I was like, oh, like that's actually maybe we'll have to do another playthrough sometime. You know, like
Yeah.
that's a really cool way to do it. But
It's
no,
very
the way that
cheesy,
I'm playing it, no, it doesn't. It doesn't feel like Dark Souls at all to me the way I'm playing it.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about it a little bit. There's so many systems in this game that I feel like 15 minutes is going to be very hard to do it justice. But this is a Dark Souls action RPG with Diablo loot. Is that a good way to classify it?
Yeah.
I
think that's a pretty good way to say it. Like
Okay.
the thing about Nioh is it's traversing a lot of genre boundaries. Like it has the looting system of a Borderlands or Diablo style game. It has the potential combat like a Dark Souls game, or if you want to play it a different way, it has the potential really fast-paced combat of like a fighting game.
Yeah.
Like it also completely depends on how you're playing it. You can never leave a stance and just focus on the combat. Or you can focus on stance dancing, where you're constantly changing them and trying to adapt to the situation. In fact, the skill system, which is an entire another part of the game that we could go into, the skill system actually, in some cases, gives you abilities that encourage you to switch stances during combat, like while you're doing shit. So, I mean, it gives the player a lot of freedom to decide how do they want to play the game, and then it rewards them for picking an avenue and sticking with it.
I agree.
Which is awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the kind of adaptability that most games work to try to get to. Nioh just kind of does it really well. And then there's 5 different weapon types. So then you can take any weapon of the 5 weapons and then kind of make your own play style inside of them as well.
Yeah, and there's
It's
magic.
another
There's
effect.
2 types of magic as well for people like Zeke
Yeah.
that want to play magic.
And people have already broken the game using that, by the way. I don't know if
Yeah.
you heard about this.
Oh, and also,
We talked about it a little bit. Go ahead, Zeke.
for anyone out there who's wondering, I will be playing this game, but way further down the line.
Yeah, it's a long game, but Co's put in I think a lot more hours than I have. I'm
Almost 40 hours now.
I'm around 30 maybe, and I'm almost done with the 3rd island. I don't know how many islands there are in the game, but yeah, it seems very long. Like to put it in perspective, I'm 68. Co's probably a little bit higher, and there's Twilight missions, which are like beefed up missions that are like level 150.
I'm 126.
Okay, yeah. So you're probably doing some of those Twilight or have done some of those already.
Yep, I've done every Twilight mission up to my level so far. I've done every single mission up to the point I'm at so far. Every submission, every main mission, every Twilight mission. Like there's an insane amount of content in this game.
Yeah.
Insane.
And Zeke, I think you really would like the magic. Like it. You'll still have to get a weapon, but you can get like a magic-y weapon. Kind of.
Oh, dude, I talked about this game in particular with a couple of I talked about it with Man vs. Game. I talked about it with Lobos Jr. during the dinner that we had after the event.
Yeah.
And we had a very nice discussion about our different play styles. Like, it's not really playing these games if you don't do melee. And I'm like, well, then I'm not really playing them, so fuck you guys.
Yeah,
I will shoot magic out of my asshole all day long.
You can. As far as I know, you can.
Call me cheesy. Call me whatever.
No,
See,
Zeke,
that's the thing, though. Like, Zeke, I think that's admirable because you're taking the game rules and you're saying, I want to play it this way, and I'm going to play how I want to play given these rules in front of me. Like, that's creative, in my opinion. Like, that's something to work towards. Now, that being said, it's going to be really hard in this game to do a full magic run. There's very few like magic in this game is more about buffing and debuffing. And granted, sometimes those buffs or debuffs are completely game changing. Like there's an ability called Sloth, for instance, where you can basically cut the person you're fighting speed in half. Everything, their moves, their movement, everything. And that's when all of a sudden you're parrying like 90% of the attacks you wouldn't normally ever have a chance to. Yeah. So, and that kind of stuff, really can focus. And also what's great is as you spec into spirit and magic, like you start gaining these bonuses that really increase in power in ways that you wouldn't think. Like there's a really great kind of I break everything streamer named Ouroboros, big YouTuber and streamer. I'm sure you guys have probably heard of him.
Yeah, I was watching.
He came up with a build in this game after spending like 12 hours in the menu where he combined all these different abilities out of spirit and magic to make it so his living weapon, which is kind of like it's kind of like an ultimate ability. When you gain up enough of this gauge, you can activate this thing that makes you super powerful, and you have to get enough damage before it disappears and you're invulnerable until then, stuff like that. He basically made it so his weapon is always on.
Really?
So he can walk up to bosses that I spent like 30 tries on and just literally like 60 seconds and it's dead, and he doesn't even take a point of damage.
Damn.
And that all came from him sitting down with the skill system for hours and like going, okay, if I get this, I can do this. If I put this many points in this, I can do that. I get the passes from this skill, which will add up enough to make so I can do this and this. And that'll let me get this skill, which I can then use on this, and I can combine that with the ninjutsu skill and the magic skill to combine those to make this. And like, it's crazy. It's like it's absolutely nuts. But the fact that you can do that is awesome.
It's really
I
awesome.
do have a feeling they're going to nerf that because
Probably.
like he literally broke the game.
I mean, as long as they give you that kind of flexibility, it's awesome. I did the same thing when Shadow Warrior 2 came out, except instead of combining skills and magic, I was just like sat there at the forge, like crafting the little weapon jewels until I made a god tier weapon that literally ruined the game.
That's what I did last night.
One-shotting everything.
It's really, this axe is really stupid. It has like 613 attack power code, and it does like one heavy attack. All I do is just press triangle. That's the only button I hit in high stance with an axe. And to a boss.
You're not really playing the game.
Oh, I get, my chat is fucking hilarious when I play this
and
game.
Also, you need to have King Kong's dick in your ear.
It's so funny when I play this game because people join the chat and they're like, does he press any other buttons? And then I'll like two-shot a boss that people had really hard time with. I'm like, no, I just press the triangle and it does a heavy attack and does this little flip move and it kills him because it hits for like 1,000 each strike and it's super fucking overpowered. And and the best part, Zeke, is, and Fairlight as well, if you find a weapon that you like, you can then have that weapon eat higher level weapons, and then the good weapon levels up. And you can just take that with you to the end of the game.
There's an inherit system. So if you find a higher level weapon that has a certain stat with a certain icon by it, you can use that weapon enough or use items to become familiar with it. And then when you use that item to level up one of your previous items, it will inherit the special stat into that item.
I didn't know that.
And then you can go back into the forge and re-roll any of the randomized stats on items into randomly generated stats. Like is
that later in the game?
Whore's dream. This game is a loot whore's dream.
Is that
which is one of the reasons I am in love with it right now.
Is that a system that's unlocked later in the game, Co?
Which one?
The inherit system. I haven't seen that yet.
No. Anytime you see one of those icons that's a little like it's like a little oval with an arrow into another oval, that's an inheritable stat.
Oh.
Tons of items have them.
Holy shit.
And then all you have to do is max the familiarity of that weapon. And if you soul match it as a material, so it's not the base weapon, it's not the thing being leveled, but it's the material, then if there's an open slot on that weapon, it will then move the stat over to that weapon.
Oh, so that's how you get the 6th or 7th stat on weapons then.
I think it actually has to. I haven't done too much with it. I think it actually has to replace a stat, and if the weapon that is being used as the base has a similar stat, then sometimes it doesn't inherit. Okay. So it has to. There's a few gotchas to it, but it works when you get it done.
I'll have to read about it. Yeah.
By the way, anytime you're interested in this stuff, talk to the forge lady and ask her about soul matching, and she'll show you the icons and tell you what they mean and tell you how they work and all that stuff.
Yeah, because all I've done, I tried for like the first 2 islands or whatever, I never got a single axe. I just had the worst luck. I never got a single axe. And then eventually I fought this guy on the bridge last night, and he dropped this like I don't know.
This dude was actually pretty tough.
Yeah, he was all right. Then I farmed him. I just farm him now nonstop for about.
Nice.
I farmed him like 40 times last night in about an hour. And he dropped this axe called the Manobe axe or something like that. And it has strength scaling at A+. So I just max my strength and do a shit ton of damage.
Nice, dude.
And
that's a purple stat, isn't it?
Yeah, and then I re-rolled a bunch of the stats on it. So then the more enemies I kill with it, it does more damage as you kill more. So eventually I get to a boss on a level and just walk up and like 5 or 6 shot a boss that I've never seen before. And it completely ignore the ice person. Was that the person that you were talking about yesterday that one-shots you? I killed her in 2 attempts.
No, I wasn't. But that's hilarious because I saw another streamer try that boss for about an hour this morning.
Yeah. Second try, all I did was just spam pots, walk up and fucking press heavy attack, and she eventually just died because it does so much stupid damage.
That is so cool.
It's really cool to see. Like you said, I hop over to Max's stream, Maximilian streaming it. He's playing a ninja, completely different from my fucking playthrough. And I saw him do a bunch of bosses completely different in ways I didn't even know were a thing. Because there's so much in this game. So
dude, also
seems
check
awesome.
out Peeve. He's doing some pretty fun stuff too with that.
He's pretty late game now, I think.
Seeing all the different people and how they play the game and what weapons they're using and what armor type, and there's all these different sets that synergize properly, and like it's really cool seeing how everyone kind of comes to their own in it. Like right now, I'm walking this fine line between I'm spear. I'm doing a spear run, spear only.
God, I hate spears.
I'm walking this line between a light armor set called Red Dragon and these 3 heavy armor sets that I'm currently farming up that all have spear-based abilities. And it's like, and I'm just collecting at this point and like soul matching when I can, and locking loot so I don't sell it, and I just have these lists of all this different shit. I mean, it's again loot heaven. I love this kind of stuff. So
yeah,
it's pretty awesome. Game. It's pretty awesome.
Really good game.
And then with the loot system, you have that wrapped around a damn decent action RPG.
Yep.
Like the story is pretty cool. The cutscenes are great. The bosses are fun. The level design is good. The submissions are fun. The like everything about it is just damn decent, and it all adds together to be pretty.
One question I want
cool.
to ask, because since it gets obviously gets compared to Dark Souls all the time, how is like the lore? And is it mysterious like Dark Souls is? Is it up for interpretation, or is it like pretty straightforward, or what?
Pretty straightforward, I think, for the most. From what I've read and been told, and what I've experienced in the story, it's pretty traditional. Like all of the things that you encounter in the game are real things of lore and like in the world and Japanese culture, from what I understand.
The lore is interesting because it's almost an alternate history kind of thing. A lot of the characters, places, and things you see in the game are actually historical events, historically happened, things like that. But there's this very significant twitch of or this very, very significant kind of other side of the Amrita and the yokai and the Oni and like all of this demon stuff. And of course, that's all totally made up and stuff, but they kind of parallel it with real historical locations and real events. So it's kind of a mix. I mean, it's been good so far. You're not going to get that Dark Souls level of this is weird and creepy and whoa, like it doesn't have that factor.
Is there voice acting?
The voice acting, well, it's mostly in Japanese, but it's decent. Like,
no, I was going to ask that too. It better be in Japanese.
It is.
Much of it is. But you play an Irishman, and he speaks with an Irish accent.
That was so weird when you open the game up, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not a Japanese dude.
You just described the entire storyline of all the Onimusha games.
Pretty much. A lot of people draw that.
Based like sort of a historical thing, but let's just throw random demons and warlords into the mix that weren't really there.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that. A lot of people compared that to Omnimusha. Like as I would play the game, I never played those games, so I didn't know the parallels, but I saw that brought up many times in chat.
Yeah.
The reason I was actually looking forward to Nioh was because I was like, that looks like Onimusha, sort of. So I mean, I was already like sold on playing the game anyway, but hearing you guys talk about the customization system just has me even more excited to play it when I eventually take a break from For Honor, just because like I love tinkering with I would like the crafting systems in Warhammer Vermintide and Shadow Warrior 2, and those were fairly simplistic. So like to the depth that you're describing, that's pretty incredible. My complaint with most modern games is that they're too easy and they're too short. You're saying this game is for the most part really hard unless you make a broken axe, and it's really long. So I mean,
also the main character is based on a historical figure, actually.
Yes, many of the main characters are historical figures that actually existed.
Yeah, they have what
they got. Well, go ahead.
Who's the fucking? This is very the
swords. Bro?
No, the swords guy from Kill Bill. Hanzo Hattori. He's in the
Hattori Hanzo.
Hanzo. Yeah,
he's the ninja dude. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. He's in lots of games.
Yeah. He's all over the game.
Yeah, so. Okay. And also, of course, the location is accurate as well. Like, there's actually in some cases Japanese cities today that are in the game. And stuff like that. So
yeah, this is supposed to be Kyoto that I'm in right now. Man. It's great, dude. I haven't done very long cast in about 2 months, and I did a 10-hour cast yesterday and didn't even think of it.
Did you only have fun because you were good at it?
Maybe.
Did any of the bosses try to throw you off a ledge?
Yes, actually, and Cohh actually had that happen to him too.
In fact,
I'm gonna find the clip, Cohh.
Dude, there's one boss that you're surrounded by a ledge, and most of his moves push you back.
Yeah,
hold on, I want to hear how much Cohh complained during this. I want to go back and watch it and see how upset he got.
Someone linked the clip of Cohh falling off because it's so funny.
So pissed.
He got real upset.
Gee, go figure. Getting thrown off maps.
And the entire time, all I was talking about is how I wish I was good. Fairlight.
Oh my god. Someone linked the clip so we could show it and we'll end the show. We're waiting, chat. There it is. This I two-shot that boss, Cohh. This was before the
big ooze
guy? But someone immediately after I beat it sent me this clip of you falling off and how upset you were.
Is this one where he goes? Hold on.
It's
This
where
is the little corner part.
yeah, you like roll off.
Yeah, that happened a lot of times on this boss. Yeah, there it is. Yep.
At least I'm not throwing myself off ledges. That just seems self-abusive.
You can
right
actually
there.
see me go, son of a bitch. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Like I can clearly enunciate all this. But then every time after that, I'd always sit there and be like, I should have watched that. Like I should have.
I'll pump audio.
But
I'll
yeah.
pump audio for everyone. You guys want to hear it too? Come on, you want to
No,
hear
they
yourself
don't.
scream?
I'm pretty sure chat said they don't want to hear it.
Oh, we're gonna show it real quick. Also, I don't use that fucking face thing at all. I see you using that all the time. The little spray fire.
No, you son of a bitch! Oh my god!
It's pretty upsetting. I don't use that fire thing at all. I don't use any items at all.
That boss is the only thing I use the fire on, and it's because it does 1,000 damage every 2 seconds.
Oh, okay.
Like it does 8 to 1,000. I found it hilarious. I got to the point when I fought him in the Twilight mission where I was like, I'm going to beat him with the mask because it's the only place I can use it.
Oh, he's a Twilight. Fuck, that's gonna be fun.
Wait, the
Twilight
boss
missions are
The boss or the mask does that insane damage?
The mask, what the mask does is you put the mask on and it does a jet of flame in an arc. And most of the time it's like, cool, you're fighting a guy with 5,000 hit points. It does 200 every couple seconds. Great. But that particular boss is very weak to fire.
Yeah.
So when you do it to him in the right stage when he's vulnerable, instead of hitting for like the normal 200 to 300, it does like 1,000 over and over and over. So it's actually like by far the strongest attack I had versus him.
Yeah.
It actually worked out well. I couldn't find a real reason to use it outside of that. So
Yeah. We didn't even mention it. There's like an entire elemental system in there in terms of resistances and all that shit and poison.
and
like
each elemental applies its own unique debuff with its own unique effects.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you get a guardian, which then affects your like living weapon that you get different passive stats. Like there is, when I started the game, it was definitely like, oh my God, there's so much shit to learn. And then I found the axe and now I'm just kind of pressing triangle a bunch. It's great. It's good.
Side note, just as a little trivia fact, most of those mechanics you just described are also Onimusha, including the living weapon, like turning into a super demon and killing everything for 10 seconds, whatever. Like it's very heavily Onimusha inspired. So it's nostalgic for me because that was one of my favorite series as a kid. So I can't wait to try it.
I never got to play
Very
that
cool,
much
man.
Onimusha.
That'll be fun seeing you play this Fairlight with like the min-max attitude. Like it's gonna be.
You
That'll be
can
fun.
bet that I'm going to spend like a good 5 or 6 hours just trying to find a way to break the skill or weapon.
You totally can. You totally can. Zeke, we're at the end of the show, and I just realized we didn't really talk too much to you. So how you doing, man? What's going on?
No, I talked plenty during the For Honor thing.
Okay. But is there anything that you played that you want to...
We didn't get to talk about Zeke's games. Yeah.
We didn't do any...
It's been 2 Indie Sundays now?
He missed both.
I did not do Indie Sunday.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't do Indie Sunday this week because I was playing For Honor.
Oh, okay. All right.
Let's see. No, I was looking through my past broadcasts, seeing what I played, and I just honestly, I played For Honor and I played Darkest Dungeon, and we've talked that to death.
You beat it?
Not yet. No, I did my first 2 forays because you have to do 4 into the Darkest Dungeon. I did my first 2. On my first one, I want to give a big shout out because I named my characters in the game after anybody who's a gold badge, 20 or 2-year sub, or a mod. And this is not that game.
Oh, Jesus Christ, JP.
What am I seeing exactly?
Okay. This is a game JP played, and he tweeted out like, "Hey, I guess I'm gonna play this." And
I
was
saw
like,
this. I saw this tweet. Yeah.
I was like, "Oh God, I gotta watch this." Now I want to make sure this is said. I've known JP a good while. I've talked to him at length. I know what kind of person he is, right? At one point during this game, 2 of the girls are talking to each other. And they say something along the lines of like, "Oh yeah, well, because this person came in, well, she may be the demon. She's immune to your ecstasy shot." And blah blah blah. And JP's sitting here reading it, and for the first time I think since I've known him, I detected actual interest. He's reading this character and he goes, "Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what. Okay."
It was also the first game I've ever been in, or first time I've ever really been embarrassed on stream. 100%. I stopped the game because I was too creeped out at what was happening in front. Usually I'll feed into that shit on stream, but when your character ducks below a table in the fucking lunchroom so that he could see the panty shot of all the girls laying in front of him, and then he can shoot them with his ecstasy shot, aka his love gun, and then try to rub them to get them to, I forgot what the game uses, basically climax. I was like, you know what? I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm done with this game in the broadcast, and I turned it off because it's a thing, and this is a game that exists.
Did you guys ever play?
What's the name of the game?
Galgun Double Peace. I bought it like 2 months ago. I never played it. What was that, Fairlight?
I believe there was a game. I think it was called Killer 7. It was like a very cartoonish looking hack and slash game. I remember having a similar experience in that game because I didn't realize that like between the action sequences there was also like this dating mini game, and I recall it was the first time in a long time that I was like I could kind of feel myself turning red because there was like this mini game where you're supposed to like be sneaking a look at this like female character's cleavage when she's not paying attention, and when she looks back there's like a meter where it's like you're getting detected eyeballing her, and I was just like I cannot handle this.
In about 2
Steve
seconds,
meter is rising.
Oh, they even make mention in this game that your character is like skeevy, and the class that I chose for my character was pervert. So that should kind of set the tone.
What were the other classes?
It was like they were all like high school themes. There was like jock, like nerd, something, and then there was pervert, and obviously you got to go pervert. But in about 2 seconds, it's going to jump back into the game, and it's the moment where I decide to quit. And we'll end the stream with that.
So about that Darkest Dungeon.
Yeah, Zeke, talk to us about Darkest Dungeon while we wait for this.
No, it's just real quick. There's 4 times you got to go into the Darkest Dungeon. I did 2 of them. On the first one, my party wiped, but
oh no,
I killed the boss. I killed the thing I was supposed to kill, but
Wait,
it had a
party
minion
wiping?
that was left. It had an ad that was left.
Oh.
So
shit.
the quest was complete, but the party wiped.
Do you still get the completion for that?
I survived, I think, 5 death blows, which is once you get down to 0 health, it's like a 67% chance that you live and the other 33% chance that you die. And I survived that 5 times with one character. Shout out to Christopher, Chris XR3i, I think is his name. But he's a gold badge, and he was my grave robber, and he just kept hitting him, kept living through shit. Finally killed the boss. Very next hit from the ad, I died, and I was like, "Do I still get it? Do I still get it?" And it was like, "Quest complete. You've got it." It's like, "Fuck yeah!" And so I had a hero, and then the next time in, everybody survived. I crushed it, and now I've got 2 more times into the Darkest Dungeon, and I went 1 time into the 3rd one, and 2 of my characters died, and I went, "Fuck, I'm out." Or excuse me, 1 of my characters died, and I went, "Fuck, I'm out." And you have to, one of them has to die if you exit the Darkest Dungeon. So it was either 2 people died or all 4 died. So I left, and the Darkest Dungeon claimed another random character.
I need to play that.
So wait, how does it work? Like if you try to withdraw from the Darkest Dungeon, it automatically kills 1 party member?
Yep.
Wow. See, I know.
So you have to go in prepared, or you get at least 1 person dies.
I played Darkest Dungeon, and like I had killed several of the bosses, made a decent amount of progress, but I kind of got bored of the game before I reached that last dungeon. So sure. I didn't know that you automatically lose one of your characters permanently if you retreat. That's pretty brutal.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. I need to go back to the game.
But that's it. I mean, I was glad to hear about Cowgirl, whatever the fuck it is.
Galgun Double Peace. Do you want this game, Zeke? I will send it to you.
Yes.
Okay, I will send you this game.
I'm seeing the table scene you were talking about.
Yeah, it's
Is it in VR?
No, there is a PC version of it though, and I think it's better, Zeke. I think
there's a PC version.
I think the PC version is 60 FPS. So if you want to get some 60 FPS panty shots,
was that a boss fight when it was that one girl that the camera was
that's something that you can just enact within the game. If you feel like touching the girls in the game, you can invoke that power on them, and then they're instantly climaxed when they come out of it.
Oh, just like real life. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah. There's a lot of parallels to that game in real life. Yeah. There's a lot to learn for nerds like me. So check it out. Galgun Double Peace.
Yeah. Too. They'll benefit from the game greatly.
Yep. We're 8 minutes over. Let's end the show. We started a little bit late though. Let's do shout outs. Zeke, we always start with you.
Okay.
You're like, okay.
You're going to start me again.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. What's up, everybody? I want to give a big shout out to Fairlight Excalibur for being on this show. Very fun guest to have on. I love it when guests are opinionated and animated about their opinions. So thank you, Fairlight, for being on the show. Also, thanks to CohhCarnage and itmeJP for being, a part of this for as long as we have. 7 more episodes till we get 100, right?
Yep, and then show's over.
7 more till we're done.
We better make these last 7 episodes good. Anyway, I broadcast variety games. I'm on at noon almost every single day. I will be on right after this playing some For Honor, Honor. You can follow me on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Ezekiel_III on all of those. Also, want to let you guys know that on Tuesday, which is Valentine's Day. Well, first, let me say on Sunday, we're going to have a Blades in the Dark special episode.
Oh, that's right.
With Aldo and Rune. We're going to go back in the past and do a little side episode with those 2 characters on Sunday. And that's at 1...
3 Eastern.
No, wait, what is it? 3 Eastern,
I think.
Noon Pacific.
Yeah.
Right?
That sounds right. I'll go check the calendar.
3 Eastern, noon Pacific. It's going to be on itmeJP channel. Aldo and Rune are going to have a backstory episode. Going to be a lot of fun. But on Valentine's Day on the 14th, I will be completing one of my St. Jude goal incentives, which is the KC Tron cosplay will be happening. The KC Tron cosplay will be happening on Valentine's Day the 14th. So if you want to check that out, it should be a lot of fun. I'll do some advice that she does sometimes.
You should do show call-ins.
I might do that too.
Yeah.
But just to get you ready for it.
Oh God. Oh, I thought you were gonna pull up like a wig or something, but you're.
Oh my God.
That's not the stream. That's not the audio from my stream. That's Zeke.
Zeke, stop showing your tits on stream, bruh.
Those are not tits. Those are chicken cutlets. I'm done. That's it. I'm done.
I'm curious, Zeke. Is she aware that this is happening? Have you spoken with her?
Yeah, no, I asked her first. Before I even put the incentive, I DM'd her and I said, hey, do you mind if I put you on the list for people that I would cosplay? And it was Casey Tron, Dan's Gaming, DJ Wheat, and Man vs. Game. And Casey Tron and DJ Wheat actually both won.
Oh, I remember
So I've
that.
got to even further in the future, I've got to do a DJ Wheat cosplay.
There you go.
Which should be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Welcome to the DJ Wheat cosplay.
That's super
Here
easy.
live at my house in my room.
Yeah. You should just recreate the Next Top Streamer show. Just do that whole intro because that's quintessential Wheat. And it's good fun.
Oh my God, that'd be cool. Yeah.
CohhCarnage, do some shout outs, sir.
Certainly will. A huge thanks as always to JP and Zeke, and a special thank you to Fairlight. Been a lot of fun today. We covered a lot of bases. It's been quite a show. Always fun to have a live
got
discussion
all 4 in my game.
for all sorts of things. Yeah, it should be cool. Anyway, my name is Ko. Nice to meet you guys. I stream every single day at 8 a.m. EST, although that may change at the end of March when I have my first kid. We'll see. Tomorrow morning at 8 a.m., we're going to be doing more Nioh. Going to be also checking out For Honor for the next few days. Got Horizon Zero Dawn around the corner. Mass Effect next month. We got a lot of stuff. So appreciate you guys if you stop by every single day at 8 a.m. And as always, thank you for watching the show today. We appreciate it.
Fantastic stuff. Last but not least, our guest for the day, Fairlight. You came on quite a show and put on quite a show. So thanks for coming on. Do some shout outs for us, sir.
Sure. Well, first of all, shout out to you guys. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Now, I'm genuinely curious. Wait, what does this thing say?
It's just your Twitter profile.
It's my Twitter. It's my Twitter bio.
Generally, I used to make fun of people. Now I just copy their Twitter profile when we have 5 minutes to show, and I haven't made the graphic yet.
I was wondering where it was going to come from. But thanks for having me. I'm probably going to be playing mostly For Honor because I've been hyping that game up for a long time, as you could tell from my very opinionated stances on the game today. I'll actually be doing a launch day party, very, very similar to the 27 and 27 thing that you did for Overwatch. I'm aiming for 30 hours the day that it comes out, and a whole bunch of extra copies of the game to give away. And I'm having other streamers come on and join me throughout the thing to try and keep me awake. So I'm looking forward to having a lot of fun with that. And then
Real quick, what day is that?
That's the 14th, Valentine's Day.
Nice.
AKA For Honor Day. For the first time, Valentine's Day will mean something to me.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it.
Fairlight and Co should actually stream For Honor together on Valentine's Day. That'd be a match made in heaven, in my opinion.
Would you like to stream with Casey Tron?
That would be hilarious. If it's wait, you're doing yours on the 14th too, right?
Oh god.
Okay, I will.
Casey Tron and Fairlight play for Honor.
I will go ahead and adjust my schedule. Whoever's on there is getting bumped, so that you can join me.
Do it up.
Okay.
That would be hilarious.
Do it up.
Oh, I just want to say one real quick. I'm trying to get verified on Twitter, and I am 20 followers away from 35,000 on Twitter. So follow me on Twitter right now so I can get to 35K right now.
Yeah. A big shout out to everyone in the Anime Sucks community. Thanks for letting us join you today. And we'll choose a new community next week. I think we're going to make that a running trend. We'll just choose a new community every week for Drop Frames, and it'll be a complete shit show until that whole thing gets figured out. It'll be great. That's it, though. We'll see you guys next Wednesday. Thursday is not the normal time for the show. It is every Wednesday, and we will be live next Wednesday. Actually, you're traveling, aren't you?
No, next Wednesday I will be here.
Okay.
It's the Wednesday after that.
It's Wednesday after that? Okay. That's when you're at the wedding?
Yes, that's why I will be near Cancun, Mexico for a wedding.
Gotcha.
Holy shit, my fucking notifications just went crazy for follows just now.
There you go. Congrats. What? Congrats on 35,000.
I just got like 100. Wow, thank you guys. 35,051.
Boom. Done. Now
I'm only 12,000 away from 50K. If like all 10, 11,000 people in here follow me real
wait
quick.
a minute, and you're not verified either, are you, Fairlight?
No, I'm not.
Dude, if you get it, let me know. Maybe we can make a push together to get fucking verified.
Wait, is that the number now? What is 35?
I didn't know there.
No.
Is there even a number? I don't know.
There's not really.
I didn't think there was. That's why I was asking.
Yeah, there's a magic number. It's 1 million.
Well,
is
yeah.
the magic number.
Technically, before the application process, it was 1 million across all platforms, but now no one knows. So.
Well, no, it's one door, or excuse me, it's two doors. There's the million door, and then there's the door with 100 dicks, and you got to pick the right one to suck. And I just don't know which one that is.
Yep. 100%. All right, that's the show. We'll leave it on.
Or vagina to lick. Vagina to lick. Okay.
Either or.
Make it even.
Yeah, 100%.
They might have both. Just roll with it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. We'll see you next week, Wednesday, 5 o'clock Eastern. We're out. 7 more fucking episodes.